hot mess that they air in the mornings, called The View, had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections, 4 legal notes. We only have 3 of them on camera, but look at this. Let's imagine what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side, and then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern with them.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that. Let's not do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put the swastika on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree?
The morning chatter that fills living rooms across the country with The View has always thrived on being loud, controversial, and unapologetically one-sided. But what happens when that noise collides head-on with 2 seasoned voices who refuse to bend under pressure? Recently, Megyn Kelly and Bill Maher delivered a verbal storm that left The View's hosts scrambling, exposed, and visibly shaken. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was an unraveling of the very foundation the show has built its identity on. And the fallout was so striking, it has people replaying the clash like a moment they simply can't turn away from. The spark began with something The View has been forced to do with unsettling frequency, issuing multiple legal corrections. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. It was a string of legal notes so embarrassing that it turned into a spectacle of its own. Imagine tuning into a show that claims to stand on truth and fact, only to hear correction after correction walk back their bold statements. That's what Kelly and Maher zeroed in on. To them, this wasn't just sloppy, it was symbolic of a deeper problem. A show that constantly paints itself as the moral compass for its audience was failing at the most basic responsibility, getting the facts straight. But the tension didn't stop there. Bill Maher, known for his cutting wit and refusal to play nice even with those on his own side of the political spectrum, didn't mince words. He took direct aim at the rhetoric of The View, especially at the tendency of some hosts to equate wearing a MAGA hat with the symbolism of a swastika.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that. Let's not do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put the swastika on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree?
What made Maher's critique sting even more was his ability to package it with sharp humor, making his observations land like verbal Molotov cocktails. The audience could see it. The View's hosts could feel it. When Maher steps into a debate, he doesn't toss light jabs, he goes straight for the structural flaws in an opponent's argument, forcing them to face the weakness they usually hide behind applause and catchphrases.
Talk about what we go over, because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before. Sure. So everybody was like, "Oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma." First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. They just happen to coincide.
Kelly, on the other hand, brought an entirely different style of demolition. Where Maher thrives on sarcasm and sharp timing, Kelly dissects with the precision of a trial lawyer. She doesn't just point out hypocrisy, she proves it. Her take on The View was less about mocking and more about exposing the hollow nature of their commentary. She pointed to the way the hosts often celebrated personal attacks over genuine debate, highlighting the moment they cheered Tucker Carlson's departure from Fox News as if it were a personal victory. Kelly's response was brutal, None of them, she said, could ever hope to achieve what Carlson had, and their smug dismissal of him only revealed the limits of their own careers.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro. In your wildest imagination, you could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate in whatever space he goes to. Hot mess that they air in the mornings, called The View, had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections. 4 legal notes. We only have 3 of them on camera, but look at this.
I have another legal note.
My God.
Both Trump and Pam Bondi have denied allegations of a quid pro quo. I have a legal note.
You want to take this one, Joy, or are you
Matt
good?
Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime.
Sunny Hostin, often positioned on The View as the voice of authority on matters of justice and race, quickly found herself on the receiving end of Kelly's sharp critiques. For Kelly, Sunny's arguments leaned too heavily on moral superiority without the backing of intellectual weight. Kelly called her out for leaning on tone rather than substance, leaving glaring holes that couldn't hold up under scrutiny. Watching the exchange was like seeing someone walk into a courtroom with slogans instead of evidence. Kelly shredded it with ease. Anna Navarro fared no better. Known for her fiery defenses of political correctness, Navarro often paints herself as a principled commentator. But Kelly wasn't having it. She pointed out Navarro's tendency to shift her positions depending on political wins, labeling her as more opportunist than truth-teller.
Melania Trump came out and said she's about as pro-choice as they come. And here was the reaction on The View.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
Would you look? This is a network that still runs out fact checks to these women, like it's concerned about them staying factual. She hates Trump. She doesn't want to be near him. She doesn't want to be president again. She destroyed the Rose Garden, and she hates Christmas. That is what passes for news on a network they did a presidential.
And then came the heavyweight exchange, Whoopi Goldberg. For years, Whoopi has been the matriarchal presence on The View, projecting herself as the wise, steady hand who guides conversations with authority. But Kelly and Maher weren't buying it. Maher mocked the way Whoopi positions herself as the all-knowing voice of reason while repeatedly recycling the same mainstream talking points. He called out her reliance on outdated perspectives delivered with the confidence of someone who assumes longevity equals wisdom.
A view.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
There is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner. Can we just understand that part of our sorry racial history in this country is that the point of view from a black person is often going to be very different and sometimes shocking to a white person. I pulled the quote from...
Kelly went even further. Using her legal background, she dismantled Whoopi's arguments on cancel culture and free speech, exposing glaring contradictions. Whoopi, often quick to cast judgment on others for perceived offenses, suddenly looked less like the moral center and more like someone detached from the very principles she claimed to uphold. Kelly's breakdown wasn't just a counterpoint, it was a complete exposure of flawed reasoning masquerading as moral clarity. The exchange was brutal not only because of the words spoken, but because of the composure of Kelly and Maher.
Let's talk about what the ladies on The View are saying. It's somewhat stomach-turning, but we have a clip. Let's watch.
Word has just come down that Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. Wave.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro. In your wildest imagination, you could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate in whatever space. Whoopi Goldberg was angry when Alyssa pointed out that Trump went to the funeral of Officer Diller.
Yes.
On Long Island, and Joe Biden went to a podcast. Look at Whoopi Goldberg's reaction.
Choose what you like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
One day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended because you know who showed up.
Where the View's panel grew visibly flustered, filling silences with nervous laughter or attempts to pivot, Kelly and Maher remained unshaken, methodically laying out their points. The contrast was glaring, one side relying on emotion and sound bites, the other delivering layered critiques grounded in logic and wit. One of the most striking moments came when the conversation turned to January 6th. Sunny Hostin compared it to some of the darkest moments in world history, even mentioning the Holocaust in the same breath.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, yay, on January 20th of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed. If you ask them, as we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sunny Hostin.
January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust.
Maher, stunned by the hyperbole, pointed out the absurdity of placing a violent but limited riot on par with one of humanity's greatest atrocities. His words cut through the sensationalism, exposing how exaggeration was being used as a tool to manipulate emotional responses rather than foster honest debate. From start to finish, the clash wasn't just an argument about politics. It was a showcase of two different approaches to public discourse.
Well, I had a different question. But it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
So why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice. Who's not for that? I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill Maher, who has been the standard bearer for liberalism and in many ways leftism until the woke went bananas in this last decade, but for decades, that's what this guy has represented in America. I want you to note the tone they all talk with him. I want you to look at Sunny Hostin's body language and the way they look at him and everything else. Just because he is a lefty who hasn't gone completely bananas, here they are.
On one side, The View presented itself as an echo chamber of affirmation, delivering applause lines and predictable takes meant to validate a certain worldview. On the other, Kelly and Maher brought uncomfortable truths, humor, and intellectual rigor that forced the conversation into deeper waters. And that's why the fallout has people talking. It wasn't just that Kelly and Maher disagreed with The View, it's that they exposed the very weakness of its format. A show designed to appear as an open conversation revealed itself as fragile, unprepared to face voices unwilling to play by its rules. Kelly and Maher didn't just win a debate, they dismantled the illusion that The View operates as a serious forum for ideas. By the end, the contrast couldn't have been sharper. The View's hosts looked like flustered participants in a high school debate, while Kelly and Maher resembled seasoned pros who had done this countless times before. They weren't angry. They weren't scrambling. They were calm, confident, and devastatingly effective.
Has to be for everybody.
Right.
We can have platforms that have stuff on them that not everyone on that platform or who consumes stuff on that platform enjoys. And The View is a particularly weird place to do a cancellation.
It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that it's called, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
There
is one view.
Right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go.
Kelly and Maher didn't just challenge The View. They exposed it. They showed audiences what happens when a platform built on political correctness and self-congratulation is forced to face real debate. And in doing so, they reminded viewers of something critical. Intellectual honesty and sharp reasoning will always outshine empty rhetoric, no matter how loud the applause gets. What unfolded wasn't just another moment of television drama. It was a cultural reckoning. The View, for all its influence, was revealed to be little more than an echo chamber dressed up as a debate. And Kelly and Maher, armed with wit and clarity, tore that illusion apart in real time.